Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Stage 1 QPL Finals. I'm DJ Wheat, joined by Flea and Lethal. Flea, welcome. I know you've been kind of chilling on the sidelines and now ready to hop right into the action. I just got a really quick check-in with you. What do you think about the games that we've seen so far?
I mean, they've been good games, haven't they? First, seeing Garpy make his way into the Pro League and then Sirius falling just short in our first ever best of 5 going all the way in this tournament. Such a close game, but CNZ, he had the map control in the end, even though Sirius dealt tremendous amounts of damage. So congratulations, CNZ. Sirius, I hope to see you back in the next challengers, but so far we've started this finals on a very high note.
And Lethal, I'm going to go to you. But before I do, I want to see the updated brackets for everyone to kind of check out. We've had now 2 of these Challenger games going through. We see that Garpy's got a pretty interesting matchup right away versus Rafa. And then CNZ versus Chain, another interesting matchup coming at you. But what do you think about the results we've seen so far and the potential of some of the matches that we could see here later on this afternoon?
I'm still quite surprised with the first match between Garpy and Tox. I thought it was going to go to map number 5. Tox looks so good in scrims against Cypher. I kind of felt like he had the flair which so desperately required for the whole entire course of the stage. And then we went into the match against Garpy. I was pretty surprised. I was like, okay, this is not the same Tox we've seen in the scrims. And I don't know if it's, I don't know, maybe a little bit of nerves, maybe it's just a little bit of pressure. I'm not really too sure. But he shouldn't really have too much pressure or nerves just due to the fact that he's been in the scene for so long. So I was quite surprised, but Garpy, even though he's taken that series 3-0, is back in the Pro League, then he has to play Rafa. And when he plays Rafa, if he actually somehow wins that, then he's got to play either Cypher, Kula, or Jamis. So it's not looking too good in terms of brackets. It's like final boss after final boss, really, isn't it? So Garpy's going to have a very hard ride. But I think for now, he is happy to be in the Pro League, but now his mind has now changed its set in terms of what he wants to do in this competition.
Yep, I mean, welcome to the QPL, right into the fire. Let's go. So we're going to now move over to the Americas region for our first Challengers matchup, and let's talk about who the defending champ is here, or trying to hold on to their spot. That, of course, being Effortless. And we could take a look at his results throughout the 13 weeks here of Stage 1. But, you know, Effortless has kind of, you know, had some ups and downs throughout this season, certainly. And, you know, finds himself, well, now in relegation, right? In a moment where he has got to win this against his opponent. But Flea, what do you think? You got a chance to watch Effortless throughout these 13 weeks. Give us your breakdown.
I mean, Effortless has had a bit of a rough track in this first stage. There's a few outliers, though. That 3-0 victory over Cygip, I still remember watching that one live, was one hell of a game, and then he also managed to take down Zeneku, but other than that, it has been losses across the board. Now, I know that Effortless going into this second season said that he was aiming for more, so he's definitely not satisfied with the 9th position that he currently holds over on the NA side of the bracket, so I definitely do think he's still going to be able to step it up. But first, of course, he has to defend his spot against the challenger from South America.
Yeah, absolutely. And why don't we shoot it to Lethal as we talk about this challenger, because it is sUPREMEGTI fighting his way through the Challenger Series. We could take a look at some of the results, but this is that moment, right? We've talked about how awesome the Challengers, brackets are, because it allows you to earn your spot into the QPL. Effortless must defend, but sUPREMEGTI, Lethal, are you familiar with this player at all?
I am, yeah. I was watching his Challenger League finals. He had some very close games against Sib. Definitely gave him a run for his money. And I would say he's not like the other LATAM players like Maxter and Nostra, where, you know, the super aggro, playing a lot more unorthodox now compared to when he first started in the Pro League. He's actually someone who's a great decision maker. He's very patient. The only thing which is his downfall is his tracking aim. I've seen his LG quite weak on numerous occasions. I've seen his rail now and again can be quite off, but I'm hoping that was just a series thing. But when I saw his final series against Chance, he looked very solid, very good. And he's been in a few challenges in the past, so it's nice for him to actually make it into this final and to see if he can actually take one of the Pro League spots.
And just a reminder, this is a best of 5, so certainly some room to work with there. And this will ultimately be determined by the map and champion picks and bans, which we're going to see here in just a moment. Flea, it's a tough matchup, right? Playing a best of 5, it determines whether or not you get in. We now see these picks and bans popping up on the screen. Any initial thoughts as we scan through and look at these?
Well, we're starting things off with Blood Covenant, where we're getting the BJ up against the Athena, and that is of course a difficult pick for Supreme GTI, because he is so outclassed when it comes to mobility and movement. Athena is basically an S-tier pick on Blood Covenant just because of how large and how vertical it is, and if Supreme GTI ends up on the back foot and trailing in terms of frags, he's going to have a very difficult time making up the difference. Then we're going to be jumping into Corrupted Keep, Eisen versus, of course, the big man with the grenade Keel, then Ruins of Sarnath, it's Visor versus Anarchy, Molten Falls, Nyx versus the Scale, and then finally on Awoken, Death Knight once again showing his face against the Strahd.
Quite surprised with some of the map picks here, even with the champion picks. With the slash band, I thought he was going to choose Athena, but went for BJ anyway, which is a little bit of a surprise. Ruins having Visor, not really too much of a surprise there. Even the same with the Anarchy, that's quite default in terms of the meta. Having the kill on Corrupted Keep, looks like Effortless is going to be planning on trying to stand his ground with that heavy machine gun, but Supreme plays the exact same way when I watched him play against Chance, I think it was, quite a while ago. But even then, Molten Falls, we'll see the Nyx versus the Scale Bearer. That would be quite a difficult one, even for the Nyx, depending on how much chip damage he can do. There's going to be a lot running away, a lot of rail chips, see what he can do there. But even then, the Death Knight versus the Strog on the Woken. Supreme is quite hard because we haven't really seen too much of him in terms of the map choices, so we don't really know what it favours. But Supreme, he's got so much VOD research in comparison to Effortless. Anything he can do is watch a couple of maps from the Challenger League finals in the Americas, and that's literally about it.
Unfortunately, the new map's not getting any love in this series, but that is okay. I kind of like the fact that we've got a little bit of unknown here in this matchup, and we are going to get started here in just a moment. Lethal, we're going to ask you to, watch from the sidelines. I'm going to take this one with Flea, so we'll be back with you to get your thoughts after the match is over. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you in just a little bit. Flea, the challenger matchups have been kind of historically great throughout, the Quake World Championships. We saw sort of these new stories rise, new stars, and this is kind of no different. I think what's interesting is that since the kickoff, Effortless has been along in the QPL for the entire ride, and there is a chance here for Supreme GTI to, maybe add a little bit more flavor here to the Americas side of things.
Oh, absolutely. I think that there's going to be a lot of viewers who aren't quite familiar with the player from Chile, but the man has been around in Challengers for quite some time. What you didn't see previously in the scoreboard is that he has just fallen outside of that top 2 numerous times in the past. I think it was stage 3 in the first season when he came in 3rd place, so he just missed a shot of playing a placement match, and then later he finished 4th or 5th once again. So clearly, this man is firmly seated in what you might call tier 2 of competitive Quake action, right? The semi-pros, the players who are really skilled, but just haven't been able to make that leap into the top pro scene just yet.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not very familiar with Supreme GTI's play at all, and so it's always super interesting to me getting to kind of watch a player for the first time, or really sort of break them down, and see how that works out. You mentioned that you've watched a few of the games leading up to Challengers, and you kind of mentioned some of the hit scan, but was there anything in particular about Supreme that maybe viewers and even myself might look out for in terms of how they might play and or approach this matchup?
I think that probably one of his best suits is the fact that he's an extremely composed and stable player. And there's a perfect anecdote to illustrate that, because when he was playing in the finals of the Challengers, he actually played right on through a literal earthquake. He just mentioned it in the middle of the game, being like, there's an earthquake going on, my house is shaking right now. It's okay, let's keep playing. So the man just sits there as his house is shaking because of a literal earthquake, and he just continues playing, shakes it off just like that, and ends up winning. So that really shows that this is an extremely composed player, and I think that that is one of his biggest strengths.
Hey, in a tournament setting, whether it's LAN or whether it's online, letting things not phase you is a pretty great skill set to have. If an earthquake doesn't even make you budge, I'm very excited to see, what Supreme GTI can bring. And it looks like we are just moments away from getting this matchup started. I want to thank everyone who has tuned in already, whether it's early this morning or into the afternoon. We've still got so many matches left today. We're going through the challenger matches, but soon we're going to be seeing those first glimpses into the bracket matches. Very exciting. At that point, we do go to best of 3, double elimination. However, as we kick things off here on Blood Covenant, we are still in best of 5 for the challengers. The winner will move on to the QPL and will continue through the brackets. The loser, unfortunately, will only be able to fight their way back through challenger again when that time comes. And I also want to remind folks, you can make your predictions between each of the matches over on Twitch as well. I see a lot of people racking up those channel points. They're going to be highlighting messages for years, Flea, for years.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, I just found out that mods apparently can't participate, so I can only make my predictions on stream and not through Twitch itself. But on that note, though, we are loading into the first map of this series. We've got Supreme GTI versus Effortless, who is defending his spot in the Quake Pro League. And as we just said, this is single elimination. The loser of this series will drop out of the league.
Yeah, that means we've got some pressure here as the first fight does break out up on the rail bridge, and it is going to be Effortless with a pretty effortless LG. He does take quite a bit of damage, goes down to about 35 points of health, manages to get away there after getting tagged by a rail too. So in the danger zone already. I love it though, starting things off here on Blood Covenant with a bunch of action.
Yep, pretty aggressive start. Not all that common on the map that is Blood Covenant. It's quite large, open, so very often you see players approach it a bit more passively, but not this time around, as Effortless has managed to restack and is now just keeping control of the top area of the map. Supreme goes up the bounce pad, no damage exchange this time. And both of the items are lined up perfectly, meaning that we're likely going to see a bit of a split. Unless Effortless decides to just pressure this. He's still in position because he knows that he has the mobility with Athena. He can go in for a damage, some rails, and then immediately turn it back around and still pick up his own item without any pressure.
Yeah, I really like how we've seen Athena kind of played on this map quite a bit throughout the season. Really exciting, especially not only can you get that mobility and get into the areas that you want to get into and control, but also just the aggressive nature that we've seen some of these players use with Athena. And so we got a fight here at the pillars. Going to go through the teleporter, very confident up against Supreme GTI, and tries to use a grapple to get out of there. It does take a little bit more damage down to 22. Both players incredibly hurt, and we're going to head on over to the heavy where Effortless is going to be able to pick it up. And Supreme understands. He's like, all right, we're going to split it up here. He goes over to Mega. They do exchange near the rail jump pad, and Effortless is going to back up into the hallways. He doesn't want to push this one too much. We've seen Supreme hit some pretty decent rails, but unfortunately the last couple that could have given him a pretty decent advantage and leg up in this matchup, he's missed. And now we're going to see Effortless continue to defend this area over by Mega. Great rail coming out of the teleporter, and can't really follow up on that one, but holds on to the position.
Effortless also hitting 51% LG for the time being, so when you're Supreme, you know that medium distance is absolutely deadly, and that you'd rather go for the rails or the rockets when given the opportunity. Effortless still maintaining control of the high ground. That rocket, that's a juicy one. He knows exactly where his opponent is. Rails are being exchanged. Now it's actually Effortless who is struggling. Can he get out? He's got the speed, and Supreme GTI misses the kill shot. He had an opportunity to tie it up, Wheat.
Yeah, that would have been huge right there. But, Supreme is hitting those rail shots. That's what Supreme needs to do in order to kind of open up a window of opportunity to get that first frag, to tie it up. We're 3 minutes in. Still a lot of time on this clock. And Effortless having a pretty good idea of where his prey is right now. Coming on the side, again, another misrail by Supreme. There, that one does finally hit. Effortless without any armor at all. Takes a little bit of a rocket shot. A second follow-up there. And will Supreme be able to get it? Yes! Nice to LG as he drops down from the top, tying this game up 1-1.
Effortless definitely putting himself in a bit too dangerous of a situation right there, because of course he is playing Athena. He has no business sticking around when he can get out so easily. Now Supreme GTI pressured slightly. Defensive rockets are going to stop his opponent from pushing. And we are starting to see a bit of a delay between the items, and that is likely to favor the American because he has the speed to quickly traverse the map and obtain both of them at the same time. Good positioning from Supreme though. Unfortunately for him, no damage dealt. Actually, Effortless who might get most out of this situation.
Yeah, I mean, Supreme with the better stack. If he could get over here, maybe hit a rail from far, dodges that rocket. That was a scary one looking in there. And, well, let's see. He's waiting for his opponent to come through that teleporter. I like sitting in this positioning. Finds him in the LG room. 2 great rockets and a third one as he pulls out the double RLs. I'm not even sure it was needed, but securing himself that frag and the lead. But from the top, Effortless, knowing his opponent is low, was going to go for that heavy. 3 nicely placed rockets answering right back and tying this game back up. We're about to hit the 5-minute mark, but Effortless ties it back up 2-2.
Oh, he misses the shot that he should not have. That was such an easy shot right there, but Effortless can't quite clutch it out. Now Supreme though, this is risky. Fortunately for him, Effortless doesn't quite have the arsenal needed to take this fight effectively, and the dual wield comes out clutch once again. I'm really happy to see Supreme use that dual wield a lot, Weed, because you very often see players use BJ without popping that ability whenever they have the chance. Supreme GTI though is just constantly firing away. He wants that extra firepower whenever it's available to him.
Yeah, and that was I mean, you called it, Flea, exactly that. We've seen so many BJs where it's just like, you know, you do have an ability. You can use that. In this particular case, liked it, you know, pulled out the machine gun, looking to just get some nice chip damage right there. The RLs earlier, but we'll see how this continues to play out. But Supreme now with the 2 frag lead as we enter into the second half of this particular map. Will pop that dual weed yet again. Double LGs ready, but not going to be able to fire anything. I'd honestly rather see players set themselves up and pop it rather than not use it. Not a whole lot of situations where that might not turn out to be in your favor, but we got a rocket jump here from Effortless up to the top. The LG is locked, and he will get that frag very easily, now making this a 1 frag game. 6 minutes, 22 seconds on the clock. Can Effortless bring this one back? Well, his opponent's still in the lead. Another fight here in the LG room, and Effortless does tie it back up. I do not believe that was a fight Supreme wanted to take.
Absolutely, he was not expecting his opponent to be waiting around the corner, but Effortless read him perfectly, bounced him up against the wall, and finished it off beautifully this time. Now, Supreme GTI is struggling a bit when it comes to the weaponry, though. He very often doesn't have any tools to work with. Same here, once again. All he has to his name was the shotgun, and even when you dual wield a weapon, that situation just isn't going to get you a frag, and Effortless is really making good use of this weapon imbalance to string together quite a few frags.
Yeah, I really think that last frag was kind of a turning point there from Effortless. You know, Supreme, you were right. Didn't really have the arsenal Supreme needed. Decided to go ahead and move through to that LG room anyway. There's an aggressive grapple to LG and gets Supreme down very, very low. He's going to finally get a bubble and pick it up. Oh, wow. That trade to the grapple into the rail into the RL. Things aren't going to change too much except adding a point to both sides. 6-5 now. But this is the point in which Supreme, you know, he may need to choose to get a little bit aggressive. Needs to be thinking about that time a bit. Effortless, he's looking really comfortable right now on this map.
At the very least, though, Supreme has all of the weapons he needs, but the LG just absolutely isn't connecting. Why didn't he switch? Wait, he had shotgun, he had rockets, he had everything he needed for a close combat fight, and instead he just stuck with the LG and then completely whiffed towards the end, allowing Effortless to get yet another frag on the board. And as we're entering the final 90 seconds of this map, situation is looking a bit dire because Supreme GTI is lacking the mobility to move around on this vertical map, and that makes it so that Effortless can probably just stay clear from him.
Yeah, that's going to make a huge difference in these final moments. Not only can Effortless kind of just find those places to park on the map where he feels like he'll be safe. Here's a great example, right outside the telly room, and then just rotate a little bit. Then pop your grapple up to the top. This is incredibly frustrating to be on the other end of, especially when you're down by 2. But Supreme is not going to give this one up. He does land a little bit of damage while taking some LG himself, and once again, just kind of hunting or trying to hunt. 1 minute warning now on the clock. We're going to see heavy up. Effortless is going to grab it. Nope, he's going to bait his opponent into the room, uses LG, gets a significant amount of damage off, sets up for the rail, nails it. Very nice. Will he find the follow-up there? Going to switch the LG, and there it is, 8-5. And I think you can pretty much solidify this first map for Effortless here on Blood Covenant.
You can still see sUPREMEGTI's inexperience shine through in some of these situations, I feel like. Just the decision not to push when he had the upper hand, like around a minute ago. And then Effortless, really, like you said, baiting him out, right? Making a move towards the heavy and then just turning it around, holding his ground, knowing that sUPREMEGTI wants that item, easily finishing him off. And with 10 seconds left on the clock, this is a mathematical impossibility, as Effortless will take home map 1.
Yeah, and 3 frag lead. It started off pretty close. They're going to make it 9-5 there at the end. And starting off with that, with some back and forth there. First frag did go to Supreme, but Effortless able to control. I think ultimately the Athena just gave him the positioning that Effortless wanted. There was a couple of unforced errors that came out from Supreme. One in particular that happened pretty early in the game, right off the spawn. Supreme grabbed that shotgun. He heard the LG fire from Effortless, but still ran in through the LG room. It set Effortless up very nicely to just get a ton of damage off and then follow up to get the frag. And while we did see some nice back and forth, Effortless definitely took that control there at the end of that one and will take victory in map 1. Despite the fact that he looked pretty angry right there and was like, what the hell's going on? He takes that first map as we move on to our second on Corrupted Keep.
Still though, this was absolutely not a bad showing by Supreme, right? I think that there were people expecting him to just get wiped off the face of the earth when he first dipped his feet into the pool that is the Quake Pro League, but still he held his own very nicely, and it really came down to the very end. The game was basically tied until we entered the final minute or two when Effortless kind of ran away with the scoreline. But this was really not a one-sided victory. Effortless had to work for this, and sUPREMEGTI, if he can just kind of clean up his game a bit, there's definitely hope for him still.
Yeah, I would agree with you. It was not a blowout by any means. Again, like these small errors, and as everyone that plays Quake knows, sometimes those small errors is what leads to 4 or 5 frags, against you from your opponent. In these particular cases, experience is one of the few things that oftentimes just eliminates these mistakes that we make, and a lot can go into that. You've got to make sure that you're not having any sort of unforced errors at all. It's not an easy thing to do in 10 minutes. That could be incredibly stressful and difficult. But again, every map is a new map and a new chance to shine. So we'll see what happens. Now, Keel versus Ison. We've got Effortless playing the Keel and Supreme playing the Ison, here on Corrupted Keep. What do you think about these picks?
This is, again, an interesting matchup, right? Corrupted Keep, probably the smallest map in the pool right now. It is one of those series where you can really just sometimes snowball a whole bunch of frags, so it's important that you're able to just hold your ground when you're faced with your opponent starting to build some momentum. And I think that the Ison is definitely a good pick by Supreme to just make that happen. You can divide your opponent's attention, get a lot of information depending on where you put it down, and of course there's extra damage coming out as well. Meanwhile, Keel by Effortless is also a very solid pick. This is there's a lot of these small winding corners and doorways and choke points on this map where you can really make good use of those grenades.
Yeah, I agree with all that sentiment. It's certainly like 2 zone control characters for sure. I think Ison's kind of the easier zoning, right? I mean, you can definitely dodge pineapples and sometimes they just don't always work out in your favor, but good for, like you said, zoning, trying to control on or keep your opponent in one part of this map, which can be very, very important. And we are live. We're going to take this one away. Effortless wins map number 1. Can Supreme bring it back? Well, we're going to find out here on Corrupted Keep, and we're going to start off with Effortless point of view. He is going to get that mega. Unfortunately, misses that nail jump there. And a second one. Okay. Actually, we're going to be coming back. We had an issue. We're restarting. Everything should be fine here. So thanks again for joining us here. This is the QPL, the stage 1 final. And we are in the challenger matches for the Americas. We're going to get this lobby restarted, so bear with us for a moment. Flea, I didn't get a chance to ask you, but are there any matches that you are kind of excited, the potential for coming up here that we could see as the brackets continue to play out?
I mean, I think that there's one big matchup at the top of the bracket that everyone is excited for, right? We might just see Rafa versus Cypher once again. What year is it? These two absolute titans of the game. At one point, back in the Quake Live days, there were really just one question: who is the best player? Two options: it's Rafa or it's Cypher. No one else even comes close. So these two have had this friendly rivalry for that #1 spot for such a long time. And I think a lot of people are excited for the potential of having that matchup once again.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe we can get a chance to take a look at the brackets here as we've just had a couple of games played out. But we're going to have 15 games today across this stream as well as Stream B. And I'm not sure if we'll get a chance to actually see those. But if you do look into the round of 16, the round of 8, there are some incredible possibilities, especially considering that the two regions have sort of mixed up. And now, I mean, I'm pretty excited just to see how Chain is going to be playing. He's improved so much over in the Americas side. And now we get to see how some of the European talent will be facing off against him. And frankly, how Chain will do against that European talent. But we saw him play some really great games in series versus DeHang, versus Rafa. Is certainly one of the individuals that I was like, we're going to keep an eye on Chain during the stage 1 finals, because I think there is a lot of potential there. We are loading into the next map, so just bear with us. It should just be a moment. And if you're just joining us, we're in the first challengers matchup for the Americas bracket, and we have Effortless up 1 map to 0. But we're going to get started here in just a moment. And again, thanks for joining us. Flea, this is like the most exciting weekend, right? 13 weeks to kind of battle up to this point.
I mean, we're playing for keeps now, right? You mentioned it yourself, $100,000 in the prize pool for this weekend alone. And of course, what matters just as much is the glory. We've got another beautiful belt in which we will see the winner's name etched for eternity. So I think a lot of players are hoping to take that away from Rafa, who's currently the grand champion of the first season. But again, before we even get to that point, there's so many more good games coming up, as is the one we're loading into. Map 2, Supreme GTI versus Effortless. We're just about ready to pull up Corrupted Keep. Sorry for the delay, but we're getting ready to jump into things once again.
Yeah, make sure that everyone is A-OK going into this one. Important matches. This is a challengers matchup, which means winner continues on and is in the QPL, and the loser, unfortunately, will be sent home. So here we are. We're kicking things off for a second time, but really the first time here. Effortless off the spawn, does manage to get that heavy, and we're going to have a fight here at the top of the statue with the LG, and once again, Supreme GTI getting that first frag of the matchup, or of the map, and let's see what he can do with it, Flea.
Yeah, Effortless just looking completely lost in that engagement, getting piled by both the turret as well as that LG with no way out. Definitely put himself in a bad opening position, allowing Supreme GTI to get the first kill of the map. Items are split basically perfectly, 0 delay between the both. Supreme GTI sticking towards the Mega, but there's Effortless keeping control of Heavy. This is risky though. Supreme has no idea where Effortless is at.
Yeah, and I mean, a little bit of time, right, between these between these two items. We are going to have the turret come out. It's it's only on the top level. Not sure that it is going to be the most effective, but waiting here for that Mega. Effortless is going to show himself and is able to grab the Mega, and now it's going to be a quick run by Supreme. And I'm not sure I really like that one. He just basically gave Effortless both of those items. He's going to still fight it out here. Finally, the turret coming in big. Supreme down to 62 points of health, but he has taken away most of that stack from Effortless. Comes out with a light as well, and he is going to stick to his guns and say, nah, this room is mine. Let's battle it out here. A nice rocket. Can he follow up with that? Turret comes out again. We've got the LG up from Effortless, but with that Mega, he should be able to clean it up here.
6 points of health, and he still gets out alive. This is a bad position to head through, though. His opponent comes in through the door, finishing it off with the super shotgun, but as you said yourself, that indeed was a serious misplay by Supreme GTI, just standing on top of Mega, not dropping for it on time, and that just allowed Effortless to get both of the items, which, when you're a big, heavy champion like Peel, makes it that you're so stacked that very little can be done to hold you back. Effortless now 1-1, that LG looking decent, but he's gotta be careful though.
What?
Rockets from above! Unexpected, to say the least.
I mean, still making these nice shots, and just every single time a sliver of health, and still playing peekaboo a little bit, and is now up by 2. Effortless knows his opponent's low after that last one, though. Easily cleans it up with the LG. Gonna go for a conversion frag off of the spawn, and it looks like Mega is up. Effortless grabs that, no problem. And I just wanted to comment quickly, when Effortless did get both of those items, Flea, Supreme GTI was still able to get rid of that stack. So playing well, hitting those shots, I kind of like the style that we're seeing here, but maybe just a little bit of tweaking to the decision making that is happening here overall, and could find himself in the lead. We're going to have Mega popping up here in just a moment. It is going to be grabbed by Effortless. Will he have enough time to make it over? He should, but how is Supreme going to handle this one?
I think you're definitely on point there. Supreme is doing most of the damage this map, but his decisions aren't always all that good. Rockets, though, bouncing Effortless around, giving him a way out if need be, but he's still sticking around. This is such a dangerous play from the South American player, and he eats a rocket on the exit. Definitely agree with you there, Wheat. There's just some of these decisions that seem to me to be very uncomfortable plays. Like Supreme GTI can't quite figure out what he has to do, and so he just goes for the first best thing, and it ends up putting him in these bad situations.
Yeah, and well, hold on. We got to fight here at Heavy, and we're going to see Effortless easily pick that one up, despite the fact that Heavy was picked up by Supreme GTI. And I think there is something to be said about playing against a player that you're just not used to. Supreme actually picks up that frag, going up the jump head with the LG. Right, like kind of having that sort of wild card element to your play can be beneficial, but a bad decision is a bad decision. Like, let's just be real. So Effortless is up by 2 frags. Heavy is up once again. LG battle happening for a second time here, and a double rocket. Again, another one of those decisions. I wish I would have seen Supreme just back off there. He decides to re-engage in that one, giving Effortless another clean rocket shot. Gonna make this score now 6-3. We've got 4 minutes and 44 seconds on the clock. Effortless easily cleans up that turret, and will now just lay on the MG from afar. 3 frag lead for Effortless.
Nice little bit of damage right there, though. That might keep Supreme GTI at bay, and indeed it does allow Effortless to pick up the Heavy, and now the player from Chile is struggling. Effortless targeting the wrong object for a moment, should be able to clean this up with the shotgun nevertheless. And Mega's about to spawn, so that'll help him out nicely too. Supreme GTI definitely looking a bit lost on the map, just unable to get solid footing, making a lot of these strange decisions, like you said yourself, Weed, staying around and engaging for the fight instead of getting out. He shouldn't be here, he shouldn't be dropping for this engagement. Now he's just giving up another free frag. He had a way of getting out, but Effortless, just outstacking him tremendously, is going to guaranteed pick up the Heavy, and Supreme still drops on it. Why?
Yeah, again, coming down to experience in all of this, and and just knowing what to do versus these players, what kind of options that you actually have. In that last battle, we did see Supreme kind of at least try to juke Effortless a little bit, coming around the side. But, you know, Effortless, very seasoned player. He was able to hand that one no problem. So, you know, what I see is the potential here, Flea, of Supreme. I think some slight tweaks and certainly improving the game. But I think that's also a part of going through the Challenger Series and trying to make your way into the QPL. It is by no means an easy task. And right now we're seeing Effortless really take control here of this map. Now 11-3 as we are about to hit the 7-minute mark. Gonna go ahead and leave heavy there. Effortless now very, very low. And finally, Supreme GTI able to pick up that frag with a solid rocket shot to the feet.
I also think we can't ignore the mental aspect, the pressure that comes with playing on the big stage for the first time, right? You've got Effortless, he's someone who's played in the finals, at the LANs, he's gone through the motions of the weeklies, but Supreme GTI, this is his first appearance on the mainstream in front of a few thousand people where everything really matters. So there's a lot of extra pressure, and it's something that you need to learn to deal with. So he's probably a lot more jittery than his opponent right now. That might be affecting his decision-making somewhat.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, nerves are another element that come into all of this, and I think it's a great point. I mean, you know, also I'm sure for Effortless, just getting more comfortable with the opponent. He may have watched a few games and wow, super locked on LG there for the 13th frag. But, you know, playing an opponent versus watching an opponent, definitely two very different things, where we might have seen Effortless a little bit more reserved in that regard as he started it out. I feel like we're seeing Effortless get a bit more comfortable with his position, with his own play, with his decisions as well. The score now 14-4. So we're about to hit this 2-minute mark. Effortless with pretty decent control, not only of our major items, but just of the map as a whole.
Effortless's LG has also been looking really solid this time around. I mentioned it earlier, 51% LG several minutes into the first map, and now that aim is on lockdown. It is by far his most effective weapon. 3k out of the 4k damage he's dealt this map alone has been with nothing but the lightning gun. He's just favoring it in almost every single one of these matchups, even at close range. So clearly Effortless feeling very comfortable in that weapon. The Supreme GTI just can't keep up these mid-range engagements.
I kind of feel like that LG usage is also based off of how Supreme is kind of positioning himself in these battles, right? Giving Effortless the option to use the LG the way he is, right? I mean, comparatively to other players who may be moving, juking in a way to kind of avoid or make that just kind of an ineffective weapon, but also choosing to fight LG versus LG, going to open things up here for Effortless. So he's definitely taking advantage of sort of the opportunity that his opponent is giving him. Throwing out a couple more grenades here, and Effortless is going to pretty confidently and pretty easily take the second map here. Right now, 18-4. Could see another one in the final moments. Certainly not nearly as close as map number 1 was. Do you think that was a comfort level here, Flea, or do you think this is, you know, Supreme, maybe this is not his best map?
I mean, for his sake, I definitely hope this wasn't his best map. I'm also pretty sure that this was Effortless's pick. Yeah, indeed, Effortless picked this second map. Ruins will be the next map, and that is again going to be Supreme GTI's map choice. So, probably just not all that happy to play on this map either. But of course, when you're playing at the highest level, that is the Quake Pro League, you are going to have to play on every single map. There's just no getting out from that, especially in these best of 5 matchups. You have to be prepared to play on every single arena.
Yeah, I you know, completely agree. It's just a fact of life when it comes to being a Quake player. But Effortless kind of turns this second map into a frag movie. The final score 20-5, making sure that his LG is going to be very, very warm for the remainder of the weekend. And now, you know, Supreme GTI has to figure out what he can do to bring this back in his favor. This is a best of 5. However, Effortless sits on series point here with the potential to take this one home on Ruins. Effortless is going to be playing Anarchy. and I believe Visor is the pick for Supreme GTI. And as they set up Ruins of Sarnath and our next game, Flea, what do you think about this pick as it relates to the maps and what we might see here?
I mean, Anarchy can work very well on the map that is Ruins, but it's also a risky pick. We always go over this when Ruins shows up and someone picks a light champion. The fact that the small armors are so exposed and out in the open makes it very risky to pick them up. And when you're playing a light champion, especially when you're out of control, these small armors are really your lifeblood. So that can be risky, that once you get out of control, it'll be extremely difficult to get any resources because you're going to get punished and railed every single time you show your face. On the other hand, I really like Supreme's pick. This is one of the larger maps, plenty of places to hide, so having that piercing sight available can really help you out, get information on where your opponent is at.
Yeah, good points. I think, to one thing that you said, in game one, I feel like we saw the glimmers of Supreme GTI's rails. There's two pieces to it, right? There's the mental capacity to know, here are the shots that I need to take. Here are the shots that are going to give me advantage. Here are the shots that are advantageous to my position. And then there's the other part, which is the hard part, and that's actually hitting those shots. We saw a lot of the oh yeah, those are the shots you need to be making. Not a whole lot of them connecting. So with that Visor needs to also come that accuracy. It's going to play in big here for Effortless. I think, it's going to be a give and take here. Can he get the lead? Can he then, sort of use what could make Anarchy suitable for this map? We're gonna have to see. I think this is all going to come down to Supreme GTI being able to land those rails when using Piercing Sight too.
Yep, absolutely. And this is his last chance to get a shot at getting into the Quake Pro League. He has to win not only this map, but every map after this one as well in order to secure his victory, whereas Effortless only needs one more win. So if Effortless takes this one home, he secures his spot in the Pro League, and Supreme GTI will be relegated back to the Challengers as we are kicking things off on the perspective of Effortless.
Effortless is going to get that heavy spawn, immediately picking himself up a rail, and definitely using mobility early on here to try to grab up everything that they need. A little bit of a misstep there in that jump, and Supreme says, oh, hey, you just opened up a door for me, fires a couple rockets in there, and great return rail coming out from Effortless as we have about equal stacks now. However, both of these items are about even, so it's going to be interesting to see how they will attack this one. Effortless immediately going to go down for that heavy. Might quick make his way over to the Mega. It is up, and I see no sign of Supreme. He's going to be coming out from the side here, but he's not going to be able to grab it. LG locked on right away, Flea, and Effortless certainly got the better start here in this matchup.
Absolutely pushing Supreme right back down on the bounce pad. And now, player from Chile in a bad spot. Effortless, he's going to follow up on this one. This should absolutely be a frag, and indeed, he gets the first kill of this map. And I think that this just again shows that Supreme is still relatively inexperienced, just taking damage down below at heavy, and he takes the most obvious route, running straight to the eyeball, and Effortless is just waiting for you there. So those are kind of beginner's mistakes that you can't afford to make at this level of play. However, the damage is phenomenal, and Effortless somehow missing way too many shots and getting pushed back. This is an opportunity for Supreme.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to comment and say Effortless is certainly looking more and more confident as this series goes on, but there's also a danger to that, Flea, right? Getting overconfident, not respecting your opponent. Sure, your opponent can make mistakes, but hey, if they can hit their shots, right, then you still have to be smart about how you're playing and the decisions that you're making. Effortless is still sitting here in the lead, so just like something to be aware of. I wouldn't discount what Supreme is capable of doing from an aim perspective, and going up that jump pad, a huge LG battle. Effortless comes out on top of that one. Is there a conversion frag here? Well, we're going to see a jump up to the top by Effortless, and we do have Mega spawning any moment. There it is, out of that danger zone and ready to go back on the hunt again.
Supreme GTI though, slight stack advantage, landing a good rail as well. Luckily the injection is available to Effortless, so he has position on the heavy. Does he want to stick around? I don't think either player really knows where their opponent is right now, so this should still be going to Effortless. Clever playing, he's gonna hear his opponent, doesn't want to engage just yet, of course. Running a little low on ammunition as well, so Effortless, that is something for this player to keep an eye out for, as he does have to surrender the Mega to Supreme.
We're gonna see a rail coming out here from Effortless as he again just really using mobility, and another nice LG stream coming out, and Supreme is very, very low. Is there a follow-up frag right there? Misses that rail, but doesn't matter. We'll drop back and go ahead and grab the heavy. I mean, map control is so obviously in favor of Effortless. There's both of the items right there. Is not really even being super active about hunting, is really just saying, I'm going to control the items. I'm going to control the major items. And if there's an opportunity to get a frag, I'm going to do that, as we just saw right there. But the mobility from Anarchy coming in big here, Flea, and Effortless seems completely comfortable in using that as a strategy. Now, Supreme hitting these rails, that is going to be a great way to potentially open up any opportunity to try to find some control back in this map. There is a second one as well, and really I see that as the only option for Supreme at this point.
One of the things that I can't help but notice is that every single time damage is exchanged, when it really matters the most, it's Effortless who is not pulling his punches. Supreme GTI, again, look, Effortless, he makes his appearance into the room, lands a railgun, very often finishes it off with a nice string of LG as well, before Supreme GTI even turns around and faces him. We've seen it 3 times in a row. Supreme is setting up at heavy, and Effortless still manages to do a lot of damage, even though he's outpositioned. That is allowing him to stay into control, but this might be a turning point. Supreme GTI standing his ground, pushing Effortless back, actually having the better timing on the items. He moves towards heavy. This is an important fight. He picks it up first. Effortless, can he stand his ground? Both players breaking away. Supreme GTI perhaps a bit too quickly right there. He could have made more happen, but his feet are showing, and that is not a shot that the player from Chile is going to miss.
And very nicely done. And again, like 3 rails to finally get that first frag. And now the question becomes, okay, great, hitting my shots. Now, how do I take control here, right? Obviously, starting with the heavies going to be great. Is this going to be a situation where we can have a quick rotation over to that Mega? It looks like that might happen, and this could be big here for Supreme, getting both of these major items for the first time. Sitting there with the stack, LG coming out, great turnaround rail from Supreme GTI, and still sitting here with plenty of a stack. I feel like at this point just needs to remain confident and just be comfortable, not be too offensive here, as we're going to have the heavy come back up yet again. I know there's 2 frags that still need to be made up, but I would not want to see Supreme GTI just rush into those things. He has control right now. Keep that control and be patient with your opportunities.
He absolutely had no business doing that kind of damage. Can he find Effortless? Holding his ground, was looping back around, and up the bounce pad he goes. Supreme will have heard the bounce pad being used, but unable to capitalize and get another frag. Now, as you mentioned yourself, there's still plenty of time, absolutely doesn't have to rush it. That worries me though. Those close combat rails that Supreme keeps going for, that can go wrong so easily.
Oh, yeah.
You jump around the corner, you miss the rail, rocket to the face, and you're done for. No matter how big of a stack advantage you have, that one fumble in the item selection, that can really screw you over.
I completely agree. And Supreme is going to decide not to go for the heavy right away. Actually reduces the amount of time between these items, which could play out in his favor if he can make his way back over to that Mega. Going to catch his opponent up there on the little ledge. LG battle in this room, and LG runs out, and there it is, finally being patient, having the better stack. Very nicely done. However, Mega health is up. No, now it's grabbed by Effortless. We're going to have heavy soon. So at the cost of that frag and not really being ready to handle whatever is next, now suddenly Effortless has both of the major items. And while Supreme did make this now a 1 frag game, this is going to be tough to get that control back.
Yeah, railgun out just a moment too late, as we were just talking about, and Effortless is just going to close the distance and then finish it off with the nail gun. I feel bad. Supreme GTI just kind of messed up the movement that he dropped down after getting the previous frag, and by doing so, he actually allowed Effortless to spawn near Mega and steal that item, and that completely changed the momentum and the course of this game. If he had stayed up there, this could have turned out very differently, but now he's back to a 2-frag deficit and just 2 minutes left on the clock.
Yeah, and I mean, up to that point, did have like maybe a solid 2 minutes of all of the major items, right? It wasn't throwing Effortless off too much, but was really it was a foot in the door, right? It was like, well, you've got to fight against my stack now, and Effortless, although not really having a whole lot of armor through a lot of this, great patience, waiting for that player to come up, and then a perfect rocket firing through the cracks, even more damage being done. The LG coming back out. And nope, going to switch to the rocket, then to the LG. 5-2 now, and that patience really does pay off here as we enter. Well, we're nearing the final minute of the game. Might be a chance here for There was a chance there for a moment for Supreme to pick up that frag, but Effortless with the around the corner rockets, literally speechless there for a moment. 6-2. Effortless looks like he's going to take this series. He will hold on to his spot, Flea, in the QPL. Supreme GTI, a good effort. Unfortunately, we'll have to fight through again in the next stage.
Indeed, a very strong showing from the player from Chile, but just not strong enough. He fell short in quite a few ways, I feel like, Weeds. The damage just sometimes wasn't there, missing easy shots that were very decisive, but generally it was just, I think, the inexperience. And overall, the fact that the strategy, the tactics just weren't always on point. Running around with the railgun out and firing at close range, so dangerous. And then also just taking very predictable routes towards items or to get away, allowing Effortless to get a very easy read and finish. And I think that ultimately is just the general inexperience that cost him.
Yeah. And look, people might be like, wow, these two are being really, really harsh on Supreme GTI. Not at all. Actually, I'm not surprised at the results, but Supreme GTI fought through the challengers, certainly had something, was beating opponents that he needed to beat, put on a decent showing in game number 1, right? You've got to start somewhere, and the fundamentals are absolutely there. I think that, like you said, experience, playing a little bit more, probably getting used to some of the styles that we're seeing in in the QPL and on the pro level. So a great effort, and challenger again is not easy, right? It also goes to show that a challenger who wins that match and eliminates a player from the QPL is someone to watch. So congratulations to Effortless staying alive in all this. Let's bring Lethal back in, get his perspective on what he thought in this America's Challenger setup. Lethal, welcome back. What'd you think?
I just felt like Supreme, it was just way too easy to predict. A lot of the routes and routes he was taking back and off was just a bit absurd. Like, when he was on the attack and had the advantage, he was making some really good decisions on how to punish Effortless. But when he's on the other shoe, it's like, oh, actually, I don't know what to do here. I'm just going to do the usual stuff. For example, if he's down on heavy, he'll just go to the bounce pad every single time. Or on Correct to Keep, he'll get himself trapped in LG on so many different occasions. I just kind of felt like for Effortless, it was okay for him because he kind of used to the style in Pro League where he's used to more unorthodox plays and how people try and get away from him all the time. But he must have been a little bit surprised himself. But it's like what Flea said, it's just due to being inexperienced. You've got to play a lot of these pro players to kind of understand exactly how it works and what paths they take, what routes they take to try and get away, and that's about it. But his attack's decent. It's just his defense in terms of trying to get away isn't the best I've seen.
Yeah.
I definitely do think, though, that Supreme GTI could get back and have another really strong shot at getting into the Quake Pro League. Let's not forget, right? If you look at players like Maxter, who are now out of the danger zone, don't have to play a relegation game, he didn't get in on his first try either. He also got knocked back out to try again in a later stage. So it's just about building up that experience, getting more comfortable approaching players' different play styles. And I think that Supreme GTI, he's definitely got the fundamentals to make it into the league.
Yep, I'd agree, and Maxter is a great point, Flea. I'm glad that you brought Maxter up. I mean, Maxter is one of the success stories from the Americas coming out of the Challenger League. We're going to get a chance to see Maxter play later on today, but the Challenger story is an interesting one. Players try to fight through all of the other players from their respective regions. They get one best of 5 chance to come in. It opens up a whole new way of playing too, right? The nerves of being on the stream, the am I going to knock out this player? Am I going to be able to stay in? If I stay in, am I going to be able to continue through the bracket? It's tough, and I give these folks a lot of credit for the work that they are putting in. Good luck to Supreme, whether that is in the upcoming challengers or in any matches coming up. And congratulations to Effortless once again for holding on to that spot in the QPL. I'm sure there is a huge sigh of relief coming up after that 3-0 win over Supreme GTI. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got more Quake action coming at you here for the QPL Stage 1 Finals. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, the action continues right here on /Quake. Don't go away.